Okay, here we are again. We have the website set up. So hopefully you have the website set up in your repository. The repository might be called this or might be called something else. And you should have a link here to the actual website. So the GitHub Pages website that was generated from these folders and files. Okay, so as promised, I guess, we will be looking at editing this website, but just the content, not the structure of the website, because that's somewhat tricky. We will do that sometime later. Okay, so this is the homepage, right? And this is the Chinese version of the homepage. So let's say, maybe we just want to change that word, customize it. You want to customize it just to make sure that people know it's not me, but you. Okay, how do we do that? Now, we got used to seeing an index.html file here for the home page, right? But now we see an index.md file, yeah? And the index.md file for the Chinese version is in this folder. Forget about the index2 here. I was experimenting with that. We can revisit it later in another video, but just ignore index2 for now. Okay. Now, if I go into index.md, we suddenly see some stuff we have not seen before, these tables or this table here. Now, if we go into the editing mode, then it will make more sense. When it comes to Jekyll and the pages or posts, which are kind of like pages, then we have something called on the top. We have something on the top called front matter because it's in the front and it matters. All right then. So it's kind of like variables, which you can call in anywhere from the website. So if you wanted to know what your home page's title is or your home page's description is, anywhere from the website, from the 100th post, then with some code you can do that. You wouldn't be able to do that by saying you could somehow just get this information that I highlighted. It's so much easier if it's defined as a variable on the top in the front matter. Okay, so when it comes to the front matter for the page, for the home page, then on the top we have something called layout front. So the layout files are, I'm gonna open a new, a new tab and show you where they are. So in the layouts folder, you have the layouts, and the front one is the one that's called when you load, when actually Jekyll generates the site. And then it says, okay, so before I add this stuff, how does this page need to look? And then it looks at this file, the front HTML. And it has some code that I'm not really going to dive into now. It adds content. It decides what language it should be based on the variable that is here. Okay, and it generates this unorganized list, unordered list based on the front matter in each post. And then it looks like this. Okay. So to recap this, in the front matter of our homepage, this is the same for the Chinese version and the English version. It calls front, and then that is this file, and the front calls another layout file that is the which one was it? Page, right? And then this is the one that adds the title on the top and the description on the top for this page, right? And that would be this and that. And then this layout calls something even more fundamental, I guess. I was about to say majestic. Where does that word come from? Anyway, the default layout, and that would be this one. And that's where you start seeing something we have covered in the previous video, some HTML stuff, where you see the head of the HTML file with some metadata and link to style sheets and stuff like that. Okay, but let's not dive into this too much. I just want to make sure you somehow understand what this is. Okay, and then here is where you define the title of this page, right? And maybe just make some changes. So home, I don't really like the idea of making changes to this, but maybe I just say wow here. Okay, exclamation mark. Let's not change this because we want this to be defined as the English version of the homepage. Then hello, my name is Bruce Lee, and this is my karate. Although he didn't do karate stuff. This is a karate website template. All right, and then here, this is the first time we see something from Markdown, right? So this is not HTML syntax. This is Markdown. Now, if you compare this to how it actually looks, and you can see that, wow, okay, the only thing I see from this code is CV, which is in, make this bigger, in square brackets on both sides, and the actual link to the file that I should be opening, or the other links here in the second, the third row, is within the curly bracket. Now, this is the way Markdown, this is a way you can add hyperlinks in Markdown. And remember, close this, remember how much more complicated it was with HTML. So HTML hyperlink code, I guess. So if you look at this, it's whatever. It's not really much, not really complicated, but it's much longer, right? So in HTML, with HTML, you would need to do this, and you can add HTML to this markdown file because the markdown syntax is actually at the end of the process going to be compiled, converted into HTML. So if you wanted to add HTML to the markdown file, that's fine, but you shouldn't add markdown to the HTML file. So let's just experiment a bit. So if I wanted to have the same, so I would have to have this here and this there. Okay. Where does that go? Yeah, it goes here. So it's not really much longer, but this is cleaner to me, right? And there are so many other things you can do in Markdown, which I'll show you in a minute. So let's have loads of fun. Okay, and what do we do at the end? We commit to the changes and wait, right? So we then can close this, go back to the root and click on the link, and probably it's not ready yet. I refresh, not ready yet. If you really can't wait, you can check kproxy and check the home page again. Okay, blue 3 is ready. And can you see this actually looks exactly the same as the one before, but the code differs because, oops, how do I get back there? Maybe here, because one was, this is just a preview, one was in Markdown, and the other one was in HTML, but it's exactly the same. In Markdown, you can write faster. Okay, so let's just try to change something else. Maybe, so if you make changes to the English version, right, then this should be reflected on the, let's get out of the kproxy because I can't see the header. Then that should actually be reflected on the Chinese version. So remember, if you make changes to the English version, then you should make changes to the Chinese version as well, or whichever language you need to use for your website. So do we still remember where the Chinese version is kept? It's in ZH. So that you would need to go into the index MD file and make the change, the same change. Of course, if you make changes to the English text, that's not someone's name, then you will need to translate it yourself. But that's obvious. All right, then. So let's get out from here and look into a post. The posts are in here. So the first post is, I go back to the English one, it's easier for me, is this one. And let's say I want to change a few things here. So back into editing mode, we see that the front method is a tiny bit different. So we still have the title, the description, and the language, but something is missing. The layout is missing because it is defined somewhere else in the Jekyll code. So let's just have a look at that, where that is defined. If I mention it, I should explain it, right? Okay, so I think it is defined in the, yeah, it's defined in the collections default posts, right? Okay, but let's not worry about this for now. Just wanted to let you know why it's missing. Okay, there is an extra line here that we have not seen in the home page's front method, and that's the link to the image that is pulled in at two places. One of them is on the top of the post on both versions, the Chinese and the English one, as well as, if I go back to the home page, a smaller version here as the feature image thumbnail, or I don't know what else we could be calling it. Okay, so that's why this is defined here as front method, the image. Otherwise, if we just wanted to use it on the top, maybe we could just add it, you know, somewhere above my translation examples. However, then it would be in between the title, then it would be in between the title and the subtitle and the context. If we really wanted to have it on the top, then one way to do it is to define it as the front method. Okay, and then how shall I do that? One way to define it is as front method. Okay, that worked. And then we go into the post layout, and here we see that where is it? The page image. Okay, so it's on the top. All right, but let's not worry too much about code. Where is my tea or my coffee? So late, no coffee, maybe tea. Okay, so that's how you would change. That's where you would change the picture on the top. Now, as you can see, the folder is the folder where you can find this image, and the other feature images is exactly the folder where you can find other images as well. The Alan Watts image and the Watts image and the Ursula image is in root files images. Now, is that actually correct? Root files images. Okay, there we go. Now, earlier, as far as I remember, we kept the images in the assets folder. This theme is not created by me, so I'm just like using it because it's great. That's how they organize their files. Okay, so this is where the this file is. What is this called again? Well, it's one of these. If I wanted to have another picture on this, on the top of this post, then I would have to ideally add another picture here that should ideally have the same size, same resolution, same diameters. Ooh, where did that go? We could probably, I don't think we can see it here in GitHub, so it's a good idea to actually have it downloaded on the computer. Now I check it. Documents, downloads, files, images. So if you wanted to change this file, then try to use a file that has exactly the same resolution. So that would be quite large when it comes to, well, it's not the resolution, it's the dimensions. The resolution seems to be much smaller, right? Because then it will layout and design wise look exactly the same as the files you see here. Okay. Although now I check, they are all cropped within the code. So perhaps with this code, I'm sorry, you don't really need to worry about it. But I think when it comes to making your own website, and that's how I make them, try to make sure that, you know, if you use feature images on the top of posts, then ideally stay consistent when it comes to the dimensions and maybe even the resolution, right? So then they would probably be the same, because then you have control over how they look when, for example, they are zoomed in or out, and they might look different when it comes to opening the website on a mobile computing device or a computer, right? But again, it's not important. So as we have discovered, the dimensions are different here. So for now, you could just add another one that looks like that has more or less the same. So let's just have an experiment. Okay, so if I go on the internet and say free images, not really free, maybe here, and click on, maybe I like this, right? And then download it. They probably want me to do something. Is it downloaded? No. Maybe I just make it big and I steal it like that. Okay, it's gonna land on my, well, that was an alien, huh? Okay, so it's here. Then I will, let's say I want this image instead of this image here. Then what do I need to do? Now I have to add it here. Let's just make sure it has something similar. So let's say China, maybe alien crop circle. That's a PNG file. All of these are JPEG files. So I think PNG will work, but if there are JPEG files which are usually smaller than PNG files, then perhaps convert this to a JPEG file, which I'm not gonna do. Let's do it. Preview, I think this can do it. File, export, JPEG. Okay. Now why did it put it in my documents folder? Who knows? Okay, so if I go back to the desktop, I can see that the JPEG one is 352 kilobytes. The PNG is 1.8, and they look pretty similar, right? So that's why it's good to convert it from PNG to JPEG. Okay, so I just drop it here, commit to the change once it's ready. Okay. I can delete this. What's happening? What's happening? Crashed? Unbelievable. Let's find out whether it actually did something or not. Images. It's not here. Let's try again. Maybe I really need to wait for this to be finished and then say something like, please click on me. Okay. I think I was impatient. I need to drink some tea. Okay, so now it's up. And we know the file name is alien-crop-circle JPEG. So then we could go back to, where was it? Post, first post, edit. Oh, I already forgot. Something like alien crop. Oof, circle. My God, my memory. Let's open this. Sorry. Alien crop. Okay, that should be fine. That should be fine. And then I copy this commit to the change, and because I know that this page post has another version, the Chinese version, I should change it there too, right? So that we have some kind of consistency here. And I'm working too fast here. So it was alien crop circle, and then I commit to the change as well. Okay, and then let's check our page. Voila! And the Chinese one, it's still the same. Couple of seconds, couple more seconds. Anyway, so the English version is already changed. The Chinese version is being changed. Okay, so again, we might need to wait a few seconds, but that's how you would change the feature image on the top of the page. Now, what else can we change here? I'm going to try again. Not done yet. Okay, so text, it's easy to change, right? Because we've done that several times. Let's find another example for markdown. Okay, maybe in another post. So second post was this one. Okay, oh, now we have some HTML here. So in order to have those two, the target, the source text and the target text next to each other, I actually had to apply some HTML. So it's again a markdown file, as you can see, from .md, but we are applying some HTML code here, right? And this HTML code is actually referring back to a CSS code, which is in the style sheet. For now, just use it, and later I can explain it. But just because I mentioned it, I'm going to show you where it is. Okay, so we go back to the root of the repository, and then the CSS. Where is that? Maybe assets. Yep, styles CSS, because this is a SAS file. I remember now, and it is, the SAS is here, and oh my god, I don't know in which one it is, but it's in some of these files where this CSS is defined. Oh, footer. Anyway, I'm not gonna find it now. I really want to find it, don't I? But it's somewhere here, but it's defined why this opening tag and then closing tag should behave as it behaves on the second post, and the behavior is having it next to each other unless the screen is smaller. Okay, so I did promise some changes, some more changes. Okay, so here there is not much markdown. Let's go out from here. Let's go in the third one. Okay, so there is the third one. Okay, so do we see any markdown here? Oh yeah. Okay, so front matter is style-wise the same as before. Okay, so this we covered. This we didn't cover. This is the way to add a image in Markdown. So to embed an image, and you can see it's very similar to the hyperlink we had before on the home page. Let me pull it up. Okay. And of course, I'm going to show you the reference. So this is how a hyperlink looks like, where you open something else. And this is the difference between embedding an image. So the only difference is that there is an exclamation mark at the very beginning. So this is pretty cool. To compare it with the HTML image tag. Okay, so yeah, of course you can define much more, but in general, it's just that you have to open in general that it is, I think, a tiny bit longer. Of course, you don't need any of these. So let's say it's maybe not longer, but it's somewhat cleaner to my eyes. You experiment and decide, but I think it's cool. Okay, so this here is a quotation. So if you add this at the beginning of some text, then Markdown will translate this into a quotation that looks like, my God, where is it? That looks like this. We can't really see the gray, but you can customize that in the CSS file later. Okay, so what else? One more thing that I added that can make an example of how Markdown should be used is in the fourth post here called the ext post, and that is the Markdown code for. Sorry, it's not a Markdown code because when I added the Markdown code to embed a video, then it wasn't responsive. So here again, we have a custom HTML code to embed the video, which is this one. And the custom code basically just helps us make the video responsive. So by responsive, I of course mean that it responds to the website. Now, sometimes when you start making websites with a static site generator, this can be like, oh my God, everything is responsive, but the YouTube video, that's when you have to tweak the CSS file a tiny bit. Okay, so one thing before this actually gets too long, 27 minutes already, my God. Okay, one thing I need to show you before we move on is adding a post. Now, to add a post, what we will do is you can do it in two ways. You can either add a file here, or you can make the file on the computer and drag and drop it here. But let's just say we add a file in here. So the way to do that is to make sure that we are consistent with the file name. So I will close everything, open two windows so that I can see what I'm doing. Okay. So I keep this open so I can have a look at the file name convention. I go back in the post window and I say add file, create new file. And then here I name the file. So let's say today is, my God, the 10th month already. I think it's 0, is it the 2nd or the 3rd? It's the 3rd. Okay, and then I have to name it as well. Just lowercase letters. New post. Yeah. .md. Okay, and then I maybe type something in here, but what do I type in here? Remember, you need a front matter. So I'm just going to be lazy and copy and paste something from a previous file, something from the first post here, and maybe change it to, what was this called? New post. Yeah. I can change that. I can change this to hello experimenting. Okay, and then let's say we want to keep the same, but ideally you should add another picture, I guess. And then here, what we're gonna do is we will add something that looks like super duper markdown. Okay, so there are a few sheets that guide you. This I found quite simple. And then I'm just gonna do something like this. This examples how to add bold and italics. So bold will go into in between these stars, and sorry, that's italics, and then bold is 2 stars. So I just add this to the file, right? I do some soft wrapping to make sure everything is nicely seeable. Okay, these are the headers. In Markdown, they are called headers. In HTML, as far as I understand, they are called headings, which is doing my heading because why are they not consistent? So this is h1. This is an h1 tag in HTML, an h1 heading. So I can say this is heading 1, and hello, this is what I did. And then this is heading 2 within heading 1, and then example, and then maybe you can have the same again if you're exampling 2 things. Okay, so this is that unorganized list, which will look like that. I think I'm probably overdoing this now, but here you have many more ways of easily adding structure to your website, so tables, etc., etc. What you should definitely make sure is that on GitHub you use something called GitHub flavored markdown, because there are a few markdowns. They are more or less the same, but sometimes they are a tiny bit different. And if something doesn't work, it might be that you're not using exactly the syntax needed for GitHub flavored markdown. Okay, that's just a hint. Maybe I should do a video on just markdown when it comes to using it on GitHub. Let's do that later. Okay, so I did that and I did that. What I will do is I will copy, and I just copy this, commit the new file, so that we'll create the new file. It's here. And then what I will do is I will be I can't do that. I can't really download the file, download linked file. Yeah, I can do it. So I'm downloading this new file. I check it on the computer. It's not really good because it's in HTML. It's not the way to download one file. I might have to download the whole thing again, the whole folder. I need to look into downloading just one file. But what we will do now is we will go into the Chinese folder, and here add one file. Okay, this is probably feeling quite boring, but trust me, that's one of the easiest ways to do it now. And then of course this should be in Chinese now. So if I wanted this to be in Chinese, maybe I would go to Google Translate, and then yes, of course I do agree with everything you want from me. English, and then Chinese, and then I guess you copy and paste. There you are. And then you maybe change this to Chinese as well. And then of course you have to name this file as well. Now, how do you name this file? The file should be named exactly the same in the Chinese folder as the files in the root folder where you keep the English files. So that will be 2020 10/03 and new post. Yeah, what a silly name. All right then, is that it? I changed language here. It's the same file reference description. Of course, this should be in Chinese. This should be in Chinese as well. Why don't we do that? Tum 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 tum. Okay, I'm sorry about Google Translate. We don't need the quotation mark. Okay, you wouldn't need to change anything else as far as I understand. You commit to the new file. Okay, and then this should be it. You shouldn't really do anything. You shouldn't need to do anything else. Now we might just have to wait. I close this. Wait and pray. Oof. Let's hope everything is fine. We added the Chinese version here and the English version here. We made some changes to both. We go back to the thing. Okay, look at that. Look at that. Fantastic. That's how easy it is to add a new file. Okay, and it was quite fast today. So this is the Chinese version because we were on the Chinese page, I think. Something is not working. It's referencing only the Chinese file. And why is it doing that? So this is the English one. And we should go back to Chinese. It is possible that the other file is not created yet. Let me pause the video and come back in a second. Okay, I spotted the mistake. Guess what? The front matter, I forgot, is different in the other languages. So in the English version, in the English posts, the font matter is different to the front matter in the Chinese version because it has this extra variable. So just to make this, just to add context to what I said, if you check the post for the, let's say the first post's front matter in English, then you only see this. But when you check the first post's front matter in Chinese, oops, why did I do that? I can open it here. Then there is a tiny difference. I put them next to each other. Its title, description is there, language is there, but we added a category. So this is the missing link. This is the missing variable that we have to add to our newly created Chinese, newly created posts Chinese version. Okay, so that was this. And then we just go in here. And I think it could go anywhere, but let's just stay consistent. I save it, and I think it will work. If not, I'll eat my hat or wait. So this is not what I want to see here. Okay, let's just wait a bit. Maybe it's still generating. Okay, yeah, it was just simply time. Remember the mistake I made was that I didn't add this variable in the front matter of the Chinese version, but now it's there and it took maybe half a minute to get it done. So if you are on the home page and then go to the new post, then if the home page was in English, then this will be in English as well. Then you click on the Chinese one and it changes, it loads the Chinese version of this index file. Okay, so for a second, I actually thought that maybe there is a problem with this character here. And that was because sometimes I added some characters to the front matter and they were not recognized. Now, just to avoid issues, try not to add any of these funky characters. I mean, it's probably not too important because we have extended the character list that is pulled into this website the same way as we did in one of the previous videos. So these two characters, I mean the colon and this thing should be okay when it comes to text used on the website. But just to be on the safe side, maybe don't use these in the front matter. Or if you use it and something doesn't seem to work, then delete it, save, refresh, and check again, and then If that sorted the problem, then you know. Okay, so this was probably a bit longer than I thought it's going to be. But once I start talking, I find it difficult to stop. So this is it for now. I hope this will get you started on this multilingual website. And I see you, I guess, maybe soon.